So my name is Sabrina Friend. I am co-owner, co-farmer here at Prairie Hills Farm. We are located in Selma, Indiana, and currently we're on about 9 acres here. On our farm, we raise goats, chicken, turkey for meat and protein, such as eggs as well. And they're all on pasture. As you guys can see behind me, we also have currently a 6 hive apiary. We grow specialty crops, so any crop that you would put on your dinner plate, and we try to grow it as regeneratively, as sustainably, as natural, and as organic as we possibly can. So we have been farming for 5 years now. Both my husband and I are first generation farmers. We did not grow up with farming in our families or in our backyards. A lot of people, laugh back at our story because they're just like, what? Like you guys were going to be, outside planting food in your backyard. And that's exactly what happened. We started on our deck. We got pots, and my husband went out and got soil with the girls and seeds and little starter plants and brought it all home. And again, I still thought he was crazy. My background was in cosmetology, so I was doing hair and nails and makeup like all the time. And I just couldn't see myself like working soil. And at the time, I didn't even call it soil. I just called it dirt, like everybody else. But he was still working, of course, his corporate job. So he had to travel a lot. And in that, I became the garden attendee. I was like, well, I have to keep this garden alive for him and the kids, right? I have to do this. So at that point, I went down a rabbit hole. I was like, we have to try to grow everything we could possibly grow, see how it grows, learn how it grows, and just figure it out. Like if it doesn't go great and we don't eat from it, that's okay, but we're learning something. And like I said, after that, it just took us down this rabbit hole. I grew everything I could possibly grow. And then 2020 happened. We were already growing food for a couple of years, so in love with it, so in love with being in nature. My husband was like, it's our time to leave corporate America and we can do so. So let's do that. And then we started as a homestead and we were like, we're just going to grow the food that we're going to eat. And at that point, the food that we weren't necessarily committed to growing and producing ourselves, we looked elsewhere. Like, where are these other small family-run farms that are growing food how we would want to grow food? We didn't find many, and so we were like, okay, like this is what we're called to do. We're called to farm. When we first moved here, it was nothing but grass. Like there was no pastures, there was no growing spaces. One fruit tree, which I absolutely love. But with that, there was not really much wildlife around. And so I think like just us being here, working with nature, creating a more sustainable ecosystem around us, the wildlife just flocked to us. This operation is very important to us because with being first generation farmers, we have been disconnected from like, life of a farm, like living, caring, nurturing, something, right? And so like when we're planning and when we're thinking about adding something new or taking something back, we always think about like what is the impact to the next thing on the farm, right? So whether it's being, are we going to grow under plastic? Are we not going to grow under plastic? I think it's just very personal to us because we think about everything and how it all works together. And then in that, it really helps impact our community because they are getting educated by what we're doing because we're telling them like, hey, we're going to be growing under plastic because it'll extend our growing season to bring you more crops and more goods, and it just all comes together. So currently we are actually in the midst of a project to add a pollinator habitat, and that will go in our orchard. And so we have an orchard here. I do believe we have approximately 25 fruit trees in there currently. The first year that we planted them, I noticed that they were drying out. We just could not keep them watered enough. We were also in a drought here in Selma, so that did not help. And then the deer did not help. I realized that when you have native plants, the native plants' roots go deeper into the ground, which in turn holds in the moisture more, and that helps your fruit trees or any trees to flourish. In that project right now, we actually have some chickens doing some work for us to actually clear the land so that we're not going in and tilling too much or not going in and spraying any hazardous chemicals or anything like that. But essentially, that's one of the conservation projects that we have going in is a native prairie for our pollinator friends. And I love it because then I can ping in our USDA office here in Delaware County. They are amazing. So we love our USDA office, and we have actually been able to benefit from soil and water and also their equip program. Two of our hoop houses was on the equip grant. And so we've benefited that way. All of our water catchment systems have been from the equip grant as well. And then the current project that we're doing with the pollinator habitat in our orchard is also kudos to the equip grant. And so I think working with them and partnering with them has been very beneficial for our farm just because it helps us be able to scale in the time and the fashion that we need to scale in, and that's been just amazing because in that fashion we're able to grow the food that feeds our community, right? And so I think those programs are very beneficial for farmers, beginner farmers, or farmers that even are larger scale than us. There are so many great programs. So I think that's just the biggest thing is like when you are thinking about adding conservation practices to your farm, is just knowing like, hey, you're doing it for a reason. It might take a little bit longer, but in the end, it's going to be beneficial. Take your time. Take your time. Be open to the experience. It is going to be different for a lot of people. Like I was a first time beekeeper. It was different. But really, I think what people can expect is just to be educated and then take that education and like take it back to your farm and be a rock star for the ecosystem. So yeah, that's what you can expect.
Thank you for joining us for this installment of Pollinator Partnership's Working for Wildlife video series. And special thanks to Sabrina and Sylvester Friend of Prairie Hills Farm for sharing their Habitat Hero story. This video is made possible through funding from the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation and support from the Natural Resources Conservation Service. To read the full interview with Prairie Hills Farm and learn more about the on-farm benefits of pollinator habitat and how you can support pollinators on your ag lands, visit us at pollinator.org/NRCS Partner Biologists or click the link in the description. Be sure to subscribe to the Working for Wildlife email list for information about upcoming events and to ensure you never miss a new video.